What are you doing here?
I could ask you the same thing.
You shouldn't be here.
It's beautiful out here, isn't it?
Just the occasional beep from the register and the dull hum of the overhead lights. It was nearly midnight, and Lily James stood behind the checkout counter, her blonde hair pulled into its usual high ponytail. Stray strands stuck to her cheek as she leaned forward, scanning cans of soup and boxes of cereal with tired precision. Her small frame moved quickly, efficiently. This was routine. This was survival. She did not smile much, but she worked hard. That was enough. Behind her, Jessie perched on a stool meant for emergencies only, spinning Lily's phone between her fingers like a coin. "Do you even know what a Saturday night feels like?" Jessie teased, her voice light. "I know what rent feels like," Lily replied without looking up. Jessie unlocked the phone. "Then consider this charity. I just signed you up for something fun." Lily glanced over, suspicious. "Jess." "It's called Only Voices." Jessie grinned. "No pictures, just voice chats. Vintage romance, no filters, just real people." Lily narrowed her eyes. "You used my voice on a dating app?" "I made your profile. And guess what? Some guy already wants to meet." "You're welcome." Lily stared. "Absolutely not. Cancel it." Jessie raised her hands in surrender. "Too late. You're meeting him tomorrow. Coffee. Downtown. You hate confrontation, so just go and shut it down. 1 cup, then you can go back to being married to your barcode scanner." The cafe was quieter than she expected. Sleek, modern, expensive looking without being flashy. A place for people who did not need to ask about prices. Lily hesitated at the entrance, adjusting the sleeve of her cardigan. She hadn't dressed up, just the usual jeans and boots, a plain top, and the same ponytail. She told herself it did not matter. She was not here to impress anyone, just to finish what Jessie started. Her eyes scanned the room until they landed on a man seated by the window. He wore a dark gray suit jacket, paired with a simple shirt beneath. No tie, no gold watch, no show of wealth. There was a calmness about him, an ease that made him blend in rather than stand out. Sunglasses sat across his face, though the lighting inside was soft. Something about him didn't scream CEO. He looked quiet, contained. Lily walked over. The man seemed to notice her approach and stood slightly, not fully rising from his seat. "Lily?" he asked, his voice low and steady. She nodded and sat across from him, folding her arms. "I am not here to fall in love," she said plainly. "I just came to end this little joke." A smile tugged at the corner of his mouth, faint but not mocking. "Then perhaps this is actually a beginning." She raised an eyebrow, unsure what to make of him. He was facing her, but not quite. His head tilted a little off-center. His gaze hovered just past her shoulder. Her fingers gripped her cup as she studied him closer. "You're not looking at me," she said after a pause. There was no shift in his expression. "I cannot," he replied gently. Her lips parted, a quiet breath escaping. She blinked, realization washing over her. He could not see her. He was blind. I don't know if I should say sorry or stay quiet. Most people just walk away," he said. She looked down at her untouched coffee. "I used to think only poor people got stared at with pity, until tonight." "A blind man sometimes wishes he could see again," he said softly, "just to catch that pity one more time. It would mean someone still sees him." Lily lifted her eyes, her throat tightening. He was not performing, not asking for sympathy, just stating a truth, a tired, honest truth. He spoke again, slower this time. "Would you believe me if I said the last thing I ever saw was someone with hair like yours? Wind in it, sunlight behind her. That kind of brightness sticks." She hesitated. "You do not even know what I look like. Why agree to meet someone?" "Because when you cannot see the outside," he said, "you start to see the inside of people more clearly." The cafe faded around them. For a moment, all the noise felt like background to something real. "Blindness is not the worst thing," he murmured. "The worst is sitting across from someone and knowing they have already taken their heart off the table." Lily watched him, her usual guard faltering. "You don't know me," she said quietly, "but I think I see more of you than most people I've ever met." He tilted his head as if to listen more closely. Her words seemed to linger. And for the first time in a long time, Lily did not want to leave. The next few nights at the store felt slower, heavier. Lily went through the motions, scanning, bagging, counting change, but her mind drifted. Every time the door chimed open, her heart gave a little jump before settling back into disappointment. She would tell herself it was nothing, that she had simply met someone different, that it did not matter. But she could not stop thinking about him. Not just what he said, but the way he said it. Calm, honest, like he had spent years perfecting the art of silence and now chose his words as if each one cost something. And that look, or lack of one. Eyes that floated, that searched in directions they could not see. It had unsettled her in a way she could not name. The following Thursday evening, Lily stood restocking gum at the front register when the sliding doors opened with a soft swoosh. She did not turn at first. "Excuse me," a familiar voice said. "Could someone help me locate the coffee aisle?" Lily froze. The box of mint gum slipped from her hand, scattering across the floor. She turned slowly. Oliver stood just inside the entrance, cane in hand, head slightly tilted toward the ceiling lights. He wore a navy coat and charcoal pants, simple but sharply kept. A store employee stood nearby, clearly unsure what to do. Lily stepped forward. "I've got it." He turned toward her immediately, as though pulled by her voice. "I remember that voice," he said, and there was no mistaking the small smile that followed. Lily blinked. "Are you following me?" "No," he chuckled, "but maybe the universe is. I just needed coffee. Apparently, I also needed directions." She sighed, unable to suppress a half smile. "Come on, aisle 4. She walked beside him as he tapped his cane lightly along the floor. His steps were confident, but careful, listening, measuring. Lily noticed how he paused briefly at intersections of shelves, like reading a silent map with his ears. They reached the coffee section. "Top row, middle shelf, ground dark roast," she said. He reached up but hesitated. Without thinking, Lily stepped in, placing her hand over his. "Here, let me." He did not flinch. Her hand lingered a second longer than it needed to. She placed the bag into his basket. "Thank you," he said softly. "It's strange, I do not see the world, but today it feels like the world spoke back." Lily looked away, unsure how to respond. They moved through a few more aisles. She found herself watching the way he navigated, using sound, smell, even temperature. At one point, he paused between the frozen food and bakery sections, inhaling deeply. "Fresh bread to the left, frozen peas to the right," he said. She laughed quietly. "You're like a walking radar." "I've had practice." They approached the refrigerated aisle when it happened. From somewhere behind them came a sharp crash, glass hitting linoleum. A bottle rolled loudly across the floor, clinking as it went. Instinctively, Lily reached out. Her arm shot across Oliver's chest just as he stepped forward, stopping him. Her other hand caught the rolling bottle mid-spin. For a moment, there was silence. She realized she had touched him, without warning. Her breath caught, but Oliver only stood there, unmoving. Then he said quietly, "You have fast hands." "You almost stepped on it," she said, trying to sound casual. "And you stopped me," he replied. Lily lowered the bottle slowly into a nearby bin. When she looked up, Oliver's head was slightly turned toward her. "I could not see it," he said, "but I heard everything. The fall, the movement, your footsteps, and then your voice again." He smiled, not at her but toward the sound of her breathing. "There's something about how you move in the world," he added. "It's like you care whether things fall." Lily stood still. No one had ever said something like that to her, not in that way. "Maybe I'm just used to catching things," she said. "Or maybe," he murmured, "you just never stopped noticing." They walked back toward the front in silence. Something unspoken settled between them. Not quite connection, not quite curiosity, but something warm. She helped him bag his few items. Their fingers brushed once. She pretended not to notice. As he turned to leave, he paused. "Thank you, Lily," he said. "How did you?" "I never forget voices," he said, tapping his cane gently on the floor. "Especially not yours." And with that, he stepped into the night. The coffee shop was always busiest, just after 6, when office workers crowded in for a late espresso or a quiet table to finish emails. Lily preferred the slower hours, the lull between dinner and night, when people trickled in one by one and the world felt softer. She had picked up the second job to cover her mother's prescriptions, but something about this place, the warm lighting, the smell of roasted beans, made it bearable. That, and the fact that Oliver had started showing up, always alone, always quiet, always sitting at the small round table near the window. He never ordered at the counter. He waited for her voice. "I'll bring it to your table," she would say. He would simply nod, as if that was enough. At first, Lily had been surprised, then curious. Now she found herself checking the time, wondering if today would be one of those days. He never demanded attention, never looked uncomfortable. His presence was calm, almost meditative, like he existed in a different layer of the world. His hands often rested on the table, fingertips lightly tracing the rim of his cup. One evening, as she approached with his usual black coffee, no sugar, he tilted his head. "Your steps sound different today," he said. She blinked. "They do?" "Little quicker, lighter," he smiled. "Something good happen?" She didn't answer right away. Then, "No, but I guess knowing you're here makes it feel less like a long shift." He didn't reply, but his smile deepened, just slightly. The moments between them were never loud, never grand, but they accumulated. Little things. She noticed how he turned toward her when she spoke, how he remembered her schedule better than she did, how he once asked if she'd been crying, even when she had said nothing at all. "You can hear that?" she had asked. "I can feel it," he replied. That night, the shop buzzed more than usual. A group of college students took up half the back corner. The air smelled like cinnamon rolls and fresh espresso. Lily wiped down tables, humming softly under her breath. Then, the front door opened again. A man stumbled in, clearly drunk. His voice was loud, slurred. He dropped into a booth and began yelling at no one in particular. Lily kept her distance. But eventually, she had to approach. "Sir, I'm sorry, but if you're not ordering..." "You got a problem with me, sweetheart?" he snapped, standing suddenly. She stepped back, startled. His chair scraped loudly across the floor. One of the cups behind her fell and shattered. In the next breath, Oliver rose from his chair. Without hesitation, he moved toward the sound of the commotion. His cane tapped once, twice, then stopped. He positioned himself directly between Lily and the man. "Sir," he said calmly, "I may not see you, but I can still protect her." The man paused, swaying slightly, confused. A moment later, 2 other employees arrived and ushered him out with practiced firmness. No punches, no broken bones, just tension and silence. Lily stood frozen behind Oliver, heart pounding. He turned slightly, sensing her stillness. "Are you okay?" She nodded, even though he couldn't see it. Yes. They returned to the table. His hands were shaking slightly. She saw a small scrape along his knuckle, probably from brushing the counter. Without thinking, she pulled out a napkin, gently dabbing at the cut. "You didn't have to do that," she said softly. "I know." "Why did you?" "Because I could." She looked at him, her eyes soft. "That was brave." He tilted his head. "Not really. I was scared. But you still did it." He exhaled slowly. "Thank you for letting me still feel like I can do something right." She did not respond. Instead, she wrapped the napkin around his hand, tying it loosely. Her fingers lingered. He smiled again. The room returned to normal around them, but something between them had shifted. Lily had come to work expecting another forgettable shift. Instead, she had found a man who could not see the danger, but still stood in front of it. And Oliver had found a voice that made him feel less alone. The days that followed settled into a rhythm. Oliver began stopping by the coffee shop when Lily worked, always choosing the same table. Sometimes, he'd arrive just before her shift ended, offering to walk her to the bus stop. Their conversations slowly shifted, from coffee to memories, fears, and the quiet spaces between words. One evening, after the last customer left and the city outside murmured with approaching rain, Lily stepped out beside him. You don't have to walk me, you know, she said as she locked the door. I know, Oliver replied, but it gives me an excuse to hear your voice longer. She smiled faintly. They walked together down the block as the clouds above opened into a soft drizzle. Lily pulled her hood over her ponytail. Oliver lifted his face toward the sky. I like the rain, he said. It makes the world feel equal. She looked at him. Why? No one sees clearly in the rain, he said. So, I don't feel left out. They reached a curb, where water had pooled. Lily gently touched his arm, guiding him around the puddle. Careful here. Oliver reached for balance and found her hand. His fingers closed around her palm. He paused. Your hand, it's warm. She didn't pull away. Thank you, he said softly, for not letting go. They continued walking like that, hand in hand, in silence, the rain whispering between them. At the corner, Oliver broke it. You asked why I never dated after the accident. Lily looked over. You don't have to explain. I want to. She waited. I was engaged, he said. We had a life planned. A wedding, a home, kids. She stayed through the surgeries. But the night the doctors told me the blindness was permanent, she stopped holding my hand. Lily's breath caught. She left a note. Said she couldn't live in the dark. I'm sorry, Lily whispered. I don't blame her, he said. But after that, I stopped letting people close. I thought if love disappears with sight, maybe it wasn't love at all. They stood beneath the awning of the bus stop. The shelter barely shielded them from the sideways wind. Lily hesitated. My mom's sick, has been for years. I dropped out of school. It's just me and my sister now. Oliver turned slightly toward her voice. Most men leave when life gets messy, she added. I stopped expecting anyone to stay. He was quiet, then murmured, sounds like we've both been left holding things no one else wanted. Lily gave a dry smile. Yeah. A voice called from behind them. Mr. Wren? They turned. A man in a tailored coat approached, glancing from Oliver's sunglasses to Lily's hand in his. Sorry, he said. Didn't mean to interrupt. Just didn't expect to see you here. Oliver nodded. Evening, Darren. Darren's gaze shifted back to Lily, his tone changing. Oh, I see. Well, you've always been full of surprises. Lily stiffened. She felt his judgment. Darren forced a smile. Guess we all need companionship. He walked away without another word. Lily stepped back. What was that? Darren's in legal, Oliver said. At my company. She felt her face flush. He thinks I'm just some random girl clinging to a rich blind guy. Lily. I should go. It's late. Wait. He reached toward her, but she stepped away. It's fine. I'm used to this. People always assume I'm after something. Her voice cracked. That's not how I see you. I know, she said. But they do. And somehow that still hurts. The bus pulled up. She boarded without looking back. Oliver stayed on the corner, his hand still half extended, listening to the engine fade into the night. Lily did not return to the coffee shop the next day. Or the day after that.